Hi everyone, I'm Do-Youn medical oncologist from Seoul National University Hospital. It's my great honor to be here to present the study result on behalf of my colleagues. The title of my presentation is Zanidatamab, a novel HER2 targeted antibody in HER2 expressing biliary tract cancer. The results of a phase 1 study, GW25101, and design of a phase 2B study, Horizon BTC-01. Patients with unresectable, locally advanced, or metastatic biliary tract cancer have a poor prognosis, and treatment options are limited, especially after first-line treatment. Second-line chemotherapy yields objective response rate of less than 10% usually, and the median overall survival of these populations are 6 months. Approximately 19% of gallbladder cancer, 17% of extrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, and 5% of intrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma express HER2. But so far, there have been no approved HER2 targeted therapy for this HER2 positive biliary tract cancer. Zanidatamab is a novel HER2 targeted bispecific antibody that is being evaluated in multiple global clinical trials in HER2 expressing cancers. So Zanidatamab has a very unique structure. It was designed using the asymmetric bispecific platform and simultaneously binds two distinct sites on HER2 extracellular domain 2 and 4. With this unique binding, results in multiple mode of action that leads to improved binding, clustering, and receptor internalization and downregulation, and also inhibit of ligand-dependent and independent proliferation of cell, and potent activation of ADCC and phagocytosis. And also, it has potent complement-dependent cytotoxicity. GW25101 is a phase 1 study of Zanidatamab in HER2 overexpressing advanced cancers. The objectives for this phase 1 study was to determine maximum tolerated dose and to select recommended dose of Zanidatamab, and to characterize safety and tolerability, and to evaluate potential anti-tumor effects. Key eligibility criteria included advanced HER2-expressing cancers with progression after standard of care therapy, and ECOG performance status 0 or 1, and tissue requirements for HER2 assessment using fresh or archived tissue for central review per protocol. And the patient should have measurable disease per RECIST version 1.1 criteria. The methods. Biliary tract cancer patients were treated with the recommended dose of 20 milligram per kilogram to 2-week Zanidatamab. The data extracted was done on November 2020. This is the schema of phase 1 study. Part 1 is traditional 3+3 dose escalation design, and with the determination of recommended dose. Part 2 is expansion cohorts, exploring 3 different cohorts. First is HER2 positive breast, second is HER2 positive gastroesophageal cancer, and the third cohort was HER2 overexpressing all solid tumors. That included biliary tract cancer patients. So the result of part 1, recommended dose for Zanidatamab monotherapy was determined to be 10 milligram per kilogram every week and 20 milligram per kilogram every 2 weeks. In part 2, actually, 21 biliary tract cancer patients were enrolled and treated with the recommended dose of 20 milligram per kilogram every 2-week dosing schedule. So the table 1 shows the patient characteristics of these 21 biliary tract cancer patients. Median age was 63, And the Asian ethnicity were 67%, 14 patients. And 12 patients had gallbladder cancer, and 5 had intrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, and 4 extrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma. A median number of prior systemic therapies was 2. And 5 patients already received prior HER2 targeted therapy. For HER2 status, 13 patients showed HER2 IHC 3 positive, and 8 patients showed IHC 2 positive and FISH positive. In terms of safety, Zanidatamab was well tolerated as outpatient monotherapy with no treatment-related grade 3 or higher events in biliary tract cancer patients. A single treatment-related serious adverse event that was grade 2 fatigue was reported in 1 biliary tract cancer patient. The patient was hospitalized and treated with IV fluids and recovered within a day. And 2 deaths were reported during the study, one due to disease progression, and the other due to an unrelated adverse event that was cardiac arrest in the setting of bowel perforation. In terms of efficacy, with this waterfall plot, you can see a lot of patients showed the tumor shrinkage, and among them, certain portion definitely obtained the PR response, as you can see here. And this data show the duration of treatment. So you can see some patient treatment duration was quite long, meaningfully long. And to summarize, the efficacy in terms of ORR, among 20 response evaluable patients, 8 obtained PR response. So confirmed objective response was 40%, and 5 patients showed stable disease. Therefore, disease control rate was 65%, and 7 patients showed a PD. Median response duration was 7.4 months. So these data from the ZW25-101 phase 1 study support further investigation of Zanidatamab in patients with HER2 positive biliary tract cancer. So now, Horizon BTC-01 is a global phase 2b study of Zanidatamab monotherapy in HER2 amplified biliary tract cancer is ongoing. This study is a multi-center, open-label, single-arm study to evaluate anti-tumor activity of Zanidatamab monotherapy in patients with HER2 amplified biliary tract cancer. Key eligibility criteria include histologically or cytologically confirmed biliary tract cancer, which include gallbladder, intrahepatic cholangio, and extrahepatic cholangiocarcinoma, a locally advanced or metastatic biliary tract cancer, and are not eligible for curative resection, transplantation, or ablative therapies. Patient must have progressed after treatment with a gemcitabine-containing regimen, and patient must have experienced disease progression after the most recent prior therapy. And new or archival tumor tissue is required from all patients for confirming HER2 amplification and protein expression centrally. And patient performance status, it should be ECOG 0 or 1. This is a study design of Horizon BTC-01. So all patients should have HER2 amplification. So we have a plan to enroll 100 patients. So 100 patients HER2 amplified BTC patient. And approximately 75 we expect with IHC 2 positive or 3 positive. And the other 25 patients with IHC 0 or 1 positive population. And the patient will be treated with Zanidatamab monotherapy, 20 milligram per kilogram IV every 2 weeks. The primary endpoint of this phase 2 study is confirmed ORR by independent central review. And key secondary endpoints include duration of response, disease control rate, progression-free survival, overall survival, and adverse events. So Horizon BTC-01 study sites have been planned in the following 9 countries: Canada, Chile, China, France, Italy, Korea, Spain, UK, and United States. So to conclude, my presentation is, in BTC patients in the phase 1 study, GW25-101 study, Zanidatamab monotherapy was well tolerated with promising anti-tumor activity in heavily pretreated patients with HER2-positive biliary tract cancer patients. And all treatment-related adverse events were mild or moderate. And disease control rate was 65%, and confirmed objective response rate was 40%. So these data support further investigation of Zanidatamab in a phase 2 study. So now, pivotal global phase 2 study named Horizon BTC-01 of Zanidatamab monotherapy in HER2-amplified biliary tract cancer is now open for enrollment. So for further information for this Horizon BTC-01 trial, you can visit those websites listed here. We sincerely thank all patients and their families who have been involved and now involving in this drug exploration. Thank you for your attention.